And I'm hungry. How long has it been since I ate? I guess that's what happens when you stop being a two-dimensional cartoon with no digestive tract after 3 months. Okay, let's go. Ugh, delicious. Ugh, just the boost I needed. Okay, real actual 3D top hat. Call up today's subject, let's get moving. So what's this video gonna be about? Who created God? Okay. Myths versus miracles. So it's about the truth of religion, okay. Religion versus atheism, there you go. Is suicide a solution? So I guess it also answers questions about religious rules, okay. I guess it's geared more towards providing arguments and information to the religious then. And I guess that's the creation of the universe. That is some damn high production value. Very nice. So I guess they might talk about non-theistic origins versus theistic origins, or just scientific interpretations of the universe versus theistic ones. Holy shit, that's my brother-in-law. His name's Bob. We call him Bob the Bulb. People are always flicking him on the head to make him go ding, and then they laugh because he can't talk back. Yeah, just like that. I'd heard he was auditioning for a part, but I didn't know it was for this. Oh, and there's some science-y stuff. Damn, this is gonna be good. Let me get scientific arguments for Islamic creationism. Oh, this is the kind of stuff I like to talk about, man. This is my original jam. Never get scientific enough anymore. Wait, why is that DNA made of ones and zeros? That is not how that works. There's an eyeball, so maybe we'll talk about irreducible complexity, and now it all seems to be going backwards, so what do you think this show's gonna be called? Probably something like Arguing for Islam. Answers from Sheikh Mohammed ibn Mohammed al-Muhammad. It's gotta be something like that. And would you look at that, I was wrong. Very, very wrong. Islamophobia. So, all that stuff about whether religion's true or atheism's true, if they're myths or miracles, all that sciencey stuff, all that stuff that hints about actual theological arguments, it's all wrapped up under the umbrella of Islamophobia. And of course, nothing in that intro even hinted at the possibility of an implication of bigotry or fear of Muslims or Islam or anything like that. But it's still called Islamophobia! Hey, you cynical bigots, why would you want to include a definition of the word Islamophobia in the Canadian government's Motion M103? Why would you want to do that? Don't you know what it means? Doesn't everyone know what it means? The only meaning it's ever had is bigotry against Muslims. You know that. Yeah, apparently the people who made this intro don't. We'll see about the rest of the video, but this isn't a good sign. Oh man. But title issues aside, that's a really nice intro. There's just one thing I can see that's wrong with it. Let me just fix that and play it once more. Yeah, that was much better. Okay, so we're talking about fucking Islamophobia, apparently. What about it?
Why would God punish an atheist for being an atheist, according to Islam? Some atheists are very nice, kind and helpful. And what about those who worship other gods? Why is disbelieving in God the worst sin, according to Islam?
Okay, that's got nothing to do with Islamophobia, but I can answer your question, as can anyone who's remotely familiar with the typical brainwashing strategies of cults. The reason disbelieving in God is the worst sin according to Islam is that for a cult to survive and thrive, it's most useful to define non-acceptance of the fundamental claims of the cult as pure evil. It's a way to define people who are like you as the good people, and to simultaneously demonize the people who are unlike you as the deeply evil other. This is designed to not just reduce your ability to identify and empathize with people outside the cult, but also to make you terrified of any doubts you might have, because doubts are shaitan trying to turn you into the worst of beasts in the eyes of your family and your god, and drag you into the hellfire. It's a carefully constructed encouragement of hatred, fear, and disdain for people with different ideas. A sort of, kufarophobia. It can be a very effective strategy for creating and maintaining obsessive commitment to an ideology, which is why the Quran repeats it on just about every page until it becomes a mantra. And you can really tell how deep the indoctrination goes with this by talking to the believers. Most believers I've spoken to don't even realize these statements are hateful and cruel at all. Probably because after you've read them a few thousand times, you become numb to them, and the only part of you that's processing them in any way is the subconscious, strengthening that pathway that says unbelievers deserve hellfire, 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 until that becomes the only thought on that subject that feels natural. Many cults try to insulate the believers from outsiders and from doubts in a similar way because it's a useful tool, but Islam implements it in quite a clever and extreme way, which I guess is one reason for its relatively fast spread. Will kind atheists go to God's heaven? Oh, come on. We all know the answer to that question already. The answer is nobody will.
I was once approached by someone who told me, I'm an atheist. I do not believe in God, but I'm a very kind and good person. I volunteer in many charitable organizations and I give to the poor. So given all that, when I die, will I go to hell? Is this the justice of you people?
You people, eh? Oh, so is that supposed to be the Islamophobia part here? Some fictional atheist's weird phrasing when he asked you if you really believe that he deserves to be tortured for not accepting your every claim based on nothing more than threats? Is that seriously the best you can do to paint yourself as the victim? Oh, but yeah, maybe I speak too soon. There's plenty more of this video left. Maybe you'll convince me to join you at the pity party for the torture defenders.
Just because I don't believe in God, I should enter hell?
I know, right? What an unreasonable question. Assuming that a human being would be opposed to the incredibly severe and eternal torture of someone purely on the grounds of a sincere difference of belief. Ugh, how dare he? Say Feddy. And yeah, I'm gonna call you Feddy. Your name's Fidel, and Izet already did a video where she called you Feddy. But Feddy, did you ever see that video of that pilot getting burnt alive in a cage by ISIS? I did. I watched the whole thing. I was repulsed by it. I didn't know anything about that guy. I didn't care what he believed. I didn't want that to happen to him. How did you feel about it? Because if you defend the idea that atheists deserve hell, but you also felt bad about watching that video, you should put some careful thought into the concept of cognitive dissonance, Feddy.
In response, I told him.
You told him, no, of course I don't believe you should enter hell. What kind of anti-human monster would I have to be to think that any of my fellow human beings should be subject to that kind of horrific treatment just because they disagree with me on a single matter of fact? I wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's horrible. But unfortunately, I sincerely believe that Allah is just that kind of monster. I wish he didn't exist, but he does, and there's nothing we can do about it. I'm so sorry. You told him something like that, right? You know, because you're not the worst kind of bigot, right?
Let's suppose that there is a large company employing many people.
Oh, never mind. You're starting into an allegorical excuse. This is gonna get ugly. Hey audience, here's a tip. Whenever a Muslim starts telling you a story, it's unlikely to be an illustration of why part of the religion is distasteful.
Imagine that one of the employees is a very good person. He's extremely kind and cooperative and spares no effort to help his colleagues at work. He also lends them money and brings treats in for everyone in the office on a daily basis.
But he follows the wrong football team, the wretched cunt. I hope his boss stuffs him in the microwave.
On the other hand, his relationship with the boss is terrible. He doesn't read nor implement the instructions given to him by his boss, nor does he perform his work duties. His colleagues advised him that he should mend his relations with the boss and start performing his duties since the boss pays his salary and thereby provides him with all his needs.
Yes, that's how a work relationship works, indeed. You consent to take reasonable orders in return for a paycheck, which you can then spend on whatever you want. Of course, God doesn't give reasonable orders, and in fact he seems not to give any orders at all. As a matter of fact, the only people who give orders in God's name are the thousands of random assholes who deliver contradictory religious pronouncements. Not even just contradictory with other people's pronouncements, which would be damning enough, but often with their own, which in the case of Islam is the reason for the concept of abrogation, the principle that newer Quranic verses supersede the older ones that contradict them. And all of those pronouncements from all of those different people are based on the same evidence of divine origin, which is fuck all. At least if we exclude the lame arguments that can be smashed into tiny little pieces in 5 minutes or less. And as for consent, according to Islam, there is no consensual relationship between God and humans. It is not the same as an employer and an employee. It's a relationship where the mightiest and cruelest forcibly enslaves the weak with the threat of extreme punishment, on the same grounds as the stereotypical abusive father would give an order to his son. I brought you into this world and I can damn well take you out of it, boy. Oh, and God does not provide people with all their needs. According to Islam, life is a test. Things in life are deliberately fucked up by God to see what his little rats in his little maze are going to do, which is really just needlessly sadistic since he already knows exactly what they would do, even without running the test at all, because he's omniscient. So I'm not quite seeing how this story is supposed to help you make any point about Islam. How do people ever feel fulfilled by these demeaning religious worldviews? It's a completely alien concept to me. I've never felt it once in my life, so I don't think I'm ever going to manage to understand it.
His response to them is that the boss isn't really there. In the presence of the boss, he stands up defiantly and says that this company has no boss.
You're talking about God here, so you actually mean the slave master, not the boss, just to be clear. But here's a funny thing. I'm an atheist, right? Hardcore atheist. I don't believe any gods exist, and I'm also pretty confident that they don't exist. And yet, when I worked in an office with like 7 levels of management above me, guess what? I believe they all existed. I even talked to them and did what they told me to do. I didn't just pretend they weren't there. Usually. Does that blow your little mind, Feddy? See, I get that you're using the boss as a metaphor for God, but since I have no trouble believing in a boss and tons of trouble believing in a God, is it possible that there's something kind of different about a God and a boss that breaks your metaphor? And of course there is. The existence of a boss, or indeed any person they meet, is so clearly demonstrated that someone would need to have some kind of mental disorder to sincerely disbelieve in the existence of their boss who's standing right in front of them. But that's not the case with God. Billions of people believe in a very different kind of God from yours, even if they believe in a God. One that gives them very different orders. And lots of other people believe in no gods at all. If the humans are the employees of this company, then it seems to me that if there's more conflict than there is agreement over who the boss is, or what he or she or it or they wants us to do, if anything, or if Z even exists, then that's a damn good reason to start questioning if the boss actually exists, or wants anything, or if this is even a real company. And hey, why the hell are we dressing up in these stupid clothes and coming here every weekday? Did anyone here even get a paycheck yet? No? They only pay us if we believe in the boss when we die of a workplace accident? What? You know, instead of doubling down and insisting for the 1000th time that a boss, and only one boss, really does exist and has exactly the characteristics and wishes you say it has, solely on the grounds that several thousand other employees handed you lists of things they believe about the boss, and you chose to believe one of them was the right one just because you had a good feeling about whoever gave you that one. They seem nice, they wouldn't lie to you. Oh, and because someone said, hey, just because not one single person in this company can provide one good reason to think there actually is a boss here, that doesn't mean you can prove there's no boss. And if there really is a boss, wouldn't it suck to be wrong? You might get fired. You might not get paid. So fuck it, let's all pretend we're convinced. Forever.
All the while, the boss is extremely patient with him. He doesn't want to fire him, and in fact, he keeps on paying him his salary regularly.
Well, he damn well should, because the Quran is very clear. The employee doesn't disbelieve in the boss because he chooses to, or even because he came to his own conclusion based on his own reasoning. It's because the boss has a policy of sending random employees to have bits of their brain chopped out that hold memories of the boss. And then, after thus forcibly, surgically preventing the employee from believing in him, the boss gets super annoyed that the employee doesn't believe in him. He feels so offended and betrayed, and he decides he's going to torture him for it. I'm serious. The Quran says this over and over, that God makes people disbelieve just so he can punish them for disbelieving. I'll read you a few choice ones, but this is one of the most common messages in the Quran, and I strongly recommend that anyone who watches my videos should read that book very carefully, so you can understand for yourself just how often these kind of chants are repeated. It's not a long read, it's worth it. Chapter 2, verse 7. God has set a seal on their hearts, and on their hearing, and on their eyes is a veil. Great is the penalty they incur. Chapter 2, verses 17 to 18. Their similitude is that of a man who kindled a fire. When it lighted all around him, God took away their light, and left them in utter darkness, so they could not see. Deaf, dumb, and blind, they will not return to the path. Chapter 6, verse 39. Those who reject our signs are deaf and dumb, in the midst of profound darkness. Whom God wills, he leaves to wander. Whom he wills, he places on the way that is straight. Chapter 6, verse 107. If it had been God's plan, they would not have taken false gods, but we made you not to watch over their doings, nor are you set over them to dispose of their affairs. Chapter 6, verse 125. This one's really good. Those whom God wills to guide, he opens their hearts to Islam. Those whom he wills to leave straying, he makes their chest close and constricted, as if they had to climb up to the skies. Thus God heaps the penalty on those who refuse to believe. Yeah, they refuse to believe because an omnipotent being closed their hearts to Islam. Obviously, they're not going to believe. I'm going to do a few more, just flipping through the first few chapters here. Chapter 7, verses 100 to 101. To those who inherit the earth in succession to its previous possessors, is not a guiding lesson that, if we so willed, we could punish them too for their sins, and seal up their hearts so that they could not hear? Such were the towns whose story we thus relate to you. There came indeed to them their messengers with clear signs, but they would not believe what they had rejected before. Thus does God seal up the hearts of those who reject faith. Chapter 7, verse 146. Those who behave arrogantly on the earth in defiance of right, I will turn them away from my signs. Even if they see all the signs, they will not believe in them. And if they see the way of right conduct, they will not adopt it as the way. But if they see the way of error, that is the way they will adopt. For they have rejected our signs and failed to take warning from them. Is this nasty or what? I'm just going to do a few more. I find this morbidly entertaining. Chapter 7, verse 175 to 178. Relate to them the story of the man to whom we sent our signs, but he passed them by. So Satan followed him up, and he went astray. If it had been our will, we should have elevated him with our signs, but he inclined to the earth. Yeah, because of you, you asshole. And followed his own vain desires. His similitude is that of a dog. If you attack him, he lolls out his tongue, or if you leave him alone, he still lolls out his tongue. That is the similitude of those who reject our signs. So relate the story, perchance they may reflect. Evil as an example are people who reject our signs and wrong their own souls. Whom God guides, he is on the right path. Whom he rejects from his guidance, such are the persons who perish. And this next one is incredible. Chapter 10, verse 99 to 100. If it had been your Lord's will, they would all have believed. All who are on earth. Will you then compel mankind against their will to believe? No soul can believe except by the will of God, and he will place doubt or obscurity on those who will not understand. That's a pretty clear statement. And then the second half of chapter 13, verse 31. Do not the believers know that had God so willed, he could have guided all mankind to the right? And how about chapter 16, verses 106 to 108? Anyone who, after accepting faith in God, utters unbelief, except under compulsion, his heart remaining firm in faith, but such as open their breast to unbelief, on them is wrath from God, and theirs will be a dreadful penalty. This because they love the life of this world better than the hereafter, and God will not guide those who reject faith. Those are they whose hearts, ears, and eyes God has sealed up, and they take no heed. Why would you get pissy if they take no heed when you made it so they cannot take heed? And one more. I'll make this one the last one, but I'm just having so much fun. I mean, look how bad this makes the Islamic God look. As far as I'm concerned, this is some of the most damning stuff in the Quran as far as God's character goes. It also completely denies free will, of course. Chapter 17, verse 97. It is he whom God guides that is on true guidance, but he whom he leaves astray, for such you will find no protector besides him. On the day of judgment we shall gather them together, prone on their faces, blind, dumb, and deaf. Their abode will be hell. Every time it shows abatement, we shall increase for them the fierceness of the fire. What a lovely note to end on. You get the point. It just keeps on going like that. The Quran is basically that, plus a bunch of perverted, gleeful threats of hellfire, plus some really half-assed stories about some people who didn't believe and then bad things happened, plus some shitty religious laws. But in case what I just read to you wasn't bad enough, God even deliberately unleashed Satan on the world with the explicit order to lure people into hell. It wasn't bad enough that God makes it so people are going to go to hell. He had to get Satan to help. Chapter 17, verses 62 through 64. He said, Do you see, this is Iblis, Satan. He said, Do you see, this is the one whom you have honored above me. If you will but respite me to the day of judgment, I will surely bring his descendants under my sway. All but a few. God said, Go your way. If any of them follow you, verily hell will be the recompense of you all, an ample recompense. Lead to destruction those whom you can among them with your seductive voice. Make assaults on them with your cavalry and your infantry. Mutually share with them wealth and children, and make promises to them. But Satan promises them nothing but deceit. Starting to feel the same way about God. I hope I'm starting to impress upon you who haven't read the Quran just how batshit crazy that book is. God really, really wants any excuse he can find to toss as many people into hell as possible. I'm not sure why he figures he needs an excuse. I mean, he's God. He can shut down any objections pretty quick. But maybe somewhere, back in the darkest depths of his incorporeal black heart, he feels a little bit bad when people call him out for being a terrible person.
But only up to a certain point. Eventually, he puts his foot down and decides to punish him and fire him.
Fire him! Nice! Good pun. Yeah, so let's get the story straight here. We've got an employee who sincerely doesn't believe the boss exists. And the boss knows it because the boss hired the neurosurgeon who made the employee not believe, with a scalpel. And then the boss gets pissy that the employee doesn't believe he exists, so he sets him on fire. That's a horror story. That boss needs to be locked up for the safety of society. He's clearly a madman. Oh, that poor employee.
Now, how do we evaluate the performance of such an employee?
Jesus Christ, Feddy, the last thing we need to be worried about right now is job performance. This poor man is the victim of a terrible crime. Call 911. Oh, I just hope that horrible boss hasn't managed to sneak away yet. You go find him while I try to keep this guy alive, okay? Oh, my dear overlord, his whole body is burnt.
Do we consider him to be a good employee?
I don't know, but I don't consider you to be a very good person right now. Quit standing there babbling about employee evaluations and get a fucking first aid kit already. Oh, fuck, he's bleeding from his ears. I think his brain stitches came loose again.
He is definitely very good towards his fellow employees, but not so with his boss.
Well, he's not going to be very good towards anyone at all if we let him die, Feddy. If you're not going to help, just fuck off.
The same applies to someone who is good with the fellow men, but ill-mannered towards God.
Yeah, I know what an analogy is, asshole! And if you hadn't used it, none of this would have happened. You've probably just cost this poor tiny man his tiny life.
What's wrong, Logicked?
Oh, it's awful, Lucifer. This horrible man told the story about a god boss who chopped up his employee's brain and then burned him alive, and now look what happened to poor Phineas.
Oh, Phineas, that's terrible.
I know. Please, do something to help him.
You sure?
Yes, please, please.
All right.
What are you doing?
I'm evening out the singeing. That job was clearly done by an amateur.
That is not helpful.
He does not thank God for his health, for his wealth, for his mind, nor for any other blessing for that matter.
How is he supposed to do that? His boss chopped up his little brain. So little. And even if he didn't, I mean, if you think someone's being ungrateful, just pay them a visit and say something. Then he'd kill two birds with one stone because then he'd know you exist, too. No need to just go set the guy on fire. Oh fuck, his legs are dripping again. I think the skin cracked.
In fact, he doesn't even believe in the existence of God. He considers himself a very good person, but is he really?
Of course he's a good person. He's nice to everyone. There's a difference between being a good person and being a good slave. But you call your series here Islamophobia. This term that, according to the people who argued for M103, supposedly refers to bigotry against Muslims and nothing else. People thinking all Muslims are bad people. And here you are saying that atheists, or people whose bosses chopped up their brains, might pretend to be good people, but really they're all bad people. But we're the bigots, though. Yeah, it's true. Justin Trudeau told me so. So you know it's true. You know what, Feddy? After I save this guy's life, I should probably make Gussel for having a problem with any of this shit. Must purify myself of sin. Oh, Gussel, bath. Yes, hold on.
Oh, thank you very much, Logicked. I was getting rather uncomfortable.
Oh, glad I could help, Phineas. Now get back to work. You're still on the clock and your boss is getting pissed.
Who?
God allows him a lot of respite and delays, punishing him throughout his life as an opportunity for him to reconsider his ways.
Just give me a second. Okay. There's not much opportunity to reconsider anything when an omnipotent being is controlling your mind to make sure you can't, right? And of course, after you die, when he releases his mind control and lets you have real actual evidence of his existence, then no matter how much you believe then, it's not going to matter. Because the only time it matters if you believe, apparently, is when you're prevented from believing by God. You gotta beat God in a battle of the wills while he makes sure you don't even know you're in a battle. And the very moment that he starts to let you understand the situation, he switches all the rules around to make sure you can't win. He's basically that kid that nobody liked at school who'd make up a game to play with intentionally confusing rules, and then every time you had a chance to win, he'd just change them. By the way, chapter 6 verses 25 to 27, "Of them there are some who pretend to listen to you, but we have thrown veils over their hearts, so they do not understand it, and deafness in their ears. If they saw every one of the signs, they will not believe in them, insomuch that when they come to you, they but dispute with you. The unbelievers say, these are nothing but tales of the ancients. Others they keep away from it, and themselves they keep away. But they only destroy their own souls, and they do not perceive it. If you could only see when they're confronted with the fire. They'll say, oh, if only we could be sent back. Then we would not reject the signs of our Lord, but would be among those who believe. and I'm pretty sure that's when God came.
He also gave him a mind so that he could contemplate and realize the existence of God Almighty.
Funny thing about that, he seems to have given me a mind that's contemplated very carefully for years, and come to the firm conclusion that God probably doesn't exist. So, what? Did he give me a broken mind? Well, if your religion's assertions are correct, then yeah. He deliberately gave me a mind that could not believe in him. He baffled my senses to make sure that I could not see his signs. And he did all of this with full malice of forethought, with complete assurance that I would not be able to believe. In other words, he created me knowing full well that I was going to be dumped into a pit of fire and be tortured. So he created me specifically because he wanted someone to torture. Now, Feddy, if you seriously believe in this being, if you accept and admire it, if you worship this vile beast for the infinite merciless harm you believe it inflicts on other people, you have no humanity. I know I harp on a lot about the doctrine of hell, but it really is, in my opinion, the most evil element of Islam and Christianity. The terror that it inflicts upon the believers themselves is bad enough. I mean, I know a lot of atheists who still have fear and nightmares about the possibility of going to hell just because the concept is so extremely horrible and their parents taught it to them as fact. But the fact that it also requires the believers to accept and defend the most severe and prolonged possible torture of their ideological opponents just because they disagree, that is truly sick. I think I'm well justified to talk about this issue as much as I do. This hell thing requires the believer to either eliminate their own sense of empathy, or to learn to think of the damned as subhuman, at least if they're going to continue loving the God that does it and says they deserve it. And what do you think that leads to? If we could find some way to just remove this one concept from all religions, I would suddenly have much less of a problem with those religions and with their followers. But that concept still exists. And that means that I get to sit here and listen to you, Feddy, casually defend the worst possible crime being committed against billions of human beings, as if it's the most obviously harmless and friendly thing in the world to say. Like you're talking about fucking bunny rabbits and kittens. It makes me want to puke in this Minions bucket. It'd be different if you just believed that this is how things really work. That wouldn't make you a bad person. It would just make you the victim of indoctrination. No, what makes you the bad person that you are is that you're not repulsed by it. That you don't hate any being that would do such a horrible thing. That you think it's okay. That you don't even seem to have the slightest hint of guilt about it. That your conscience doesn't even seem to recognize it as a problem. And that right now you're trying to convince other people to think the same way. Damn, that got really heavy, eh? Let's try to lighten things up a bit. What can I do here?
Logicked, get ready for a pleasant surprise.
Not now, Padre. I'm trying to think of something funny to do.
But that is why I'm here, Logicked. Your angel, Nemamaya, has calculated the indigence of the great star planet Jupiter Ascension and activated his angelic hyper-beneficial mecha karma in the past. And now his huge throbbing karma has entered the path of your anus to make your video less depressing.
Using sperm.
I have no idea what you just said.
Nemamaya is leaning over you right now, Logicked, ready to fill you with his glittering white angel energy.
You know what, you old creep? You talk about this Nemamaya guy all the time, but I've never seen him. I'm starting to think he's just a character in some weird rapey fanfic you're writing about me. By the way, direct your rapey fanfics to @Logicked on Twitter.
How can you say that, Logicked? Of course Nemamaya is real. Who else could have resolved your money problems?
My viewers?
You have viewers?
It's complicated, okay? I got these people who, watch me talk to my hat through a vortex or some shit. I don't know how it works, dude. Stop changing the subject! If Nemamaya's real, he can come here and talk to me himself.
No, Logicked. He can't.
Aha. He's an angel. He can fly here.
No, Logicked. He flies united.
Oh god. Is he okay?
A little bloody, but...
Wait a second! You just said he was already leaning over me.
No... Logicked?
Quit stalling and get him here. Don't come back until I've spoken with him.
Very well, Logicked. I will immediately set myself to the task that concerns you.
Another important point is that an atheist claims that he does all of his good deeds, such as volunteering and giving to charity, for the good of mankind, not in the hope of reaching heaven, nor out of fear of going to hell. So what is he complaining of then? He should be pleased that he will not be going to heaven and not be bothered if he is going to hell. After all, he is doing all of his good deeds for the sake of mankind. So he should feel secure in his knowledge of that, and it should be sufficient for him.
You don't really get what an atheist is, do you, Feddy? We don't believe hell exists. Like, I believe in hell the same way I believe Magog of Morskar is going to attack my world with wizard magics. With a K. So no, obviously I'm not worried about going there. Why should I be? That's not the bothersome part at all. It's not what I'm complaining about. I'm complaining about you as a person. What bothers me is that I'm surrounded by psychos who think I should go to hell. Some of them even make videos using workplace analogies to convince other people of it. And as for my reason for doing things, yeah, doing things for the good of people is sufficient. The problem I have here is not that I feel unmotivated to do good. I feel motivated just fine. It's nothing to do with me. The problem is that people like you think that the good of humanity shouldn't be good enough. That we should have to be prompted by infinite rewards and infinite punishments. That the goal of helping people in and of itself is worthless because humans are just the worthless slaves of God. And so their suffering on its own is insufficient to get you off your fat fucking ass to actually help. No, to you, the infinite rewards and infinite punishments are incredibly important because that's the only way you're going to be motivated to grudgingly help the human pawn scum. You're an antisocial donkey who has to be whipped hard and fed carrots just to stop kicking the poor burn victim in the nutsack and carry him to the fucking hospital. Your cheerful acceptance of hell and your total obliviousness to why someone might think your adoration of a torturer of billions might seem like a little tiny bit of a problem to people who actually care about other people turns you into an exceedingly hateful and cruel-minded human being. And its diminishment of your ability to naturally care about other people makes you a callous one. Listen to your attitude. Listen to how you just said what you just said. If you can mock atheists for considering the well-being of humans a good enough reason to do things, then you're no longer able to feel genuine empathy. Your only feelings are based on how many reward and punishment tokens you're going to collect out of doing something. You've gamified compassion, and in the process, you've made it so compassion alone can't motivate you. Only winning the game can.
Hello, Logicked. You should have listened to Padre. I am here to fill you with my energy. Will you yield to divine will?
Padre, I've put up with a lot of shit from you over the years, but this is one step too far, man.
Oh, but I am not Padre, Logicked. Come with me. Your anus will be aligned with my massive karma tonight. We will both experience unprecedented happiness.
Cut it out, man. You're obviously Padre. You're just wearing disguise glasses.
Did you call me Logicked?
Ah!
What about those who worship other gods besides the one and only God? And what about those who practice other religions?
Oh, I don't care about them. Barbecue them.
Whoa, smoke.
That's offensive!
Oh, calm down. You know I'm kidding.
It bloody well hurt when you barbecued me for that bit.
Your accent is horribly inconsistent.
Don't worry, God will not be unfair to anyone.
Oh yeah, clearly not. That pause was an eye roll, in case you couldn't tell.
God describes in the Quran what will happen to such people on Judgment Day. He says, they will be told, call forth the partners you ascribe to God.
Chapter 5, verse 195, eh? Yeah, cool. That's a good verse. You know, except for the fact that it doesn't exist. Did you mean chapter 7, verse 195? Maybe. That one includes the bit about calling the partners ascribed to God, but it's not about what God will say on Judgment Day, or anything God will say at all, but just a recommendation of what to say to polytheists. Did you even read your own damn book, pal?
So he will give them a chance to call forth their own gods and see if they can grant them entrance into heaven.
Again, that verse has nothing to do with what God's going to say to them, but let's say it does. That's clearly not a genuine offer, dude. He knows it's not going to work. It's a taunt. Hey, little bitch, things look pretty bad for you right now, huh? Yeah, that's hell down there, you see it. You still believe in other gods, huh? They seemed so powerful while you were alive, didn't they? Yeah, well, call them up, bitch. Yeah, maybe they'll come save you.
The Quran also says, it will be said to them, where are those you worship besides God? Can they help you now or even help themselves?
Who did you worship? Lucifer? Where's Lucifer? Oh, here's Lucifer! Go on then, ask him to help you. How's he gonna help you? He can't even help himself.
Elsewhere in the Quran, God tells Prophet Muhammad what to say to such people. He tells them, say, pray to your so-called gods besides Allah.
Go on, little bitch, pray to Lucifer. Pray to him. You know what? Maybe I'll rip your legs off before I burn you with my magnifying glass.
Logi, time for dinner.
Aw, coming, Mom. I'll be back for you later, bitch.
So God will be a fair judge between us on the Day of Judgment.
God's a childish bully who enjoys taunting his victims before he tortures them, and therefore God is fair. Okay, Feddy, QED, good job. Yeah.
Let's come to the question of why is disbelieving in God the worst sin according to Islam?
How else would the clerics keep you terrified, submissive, and hateful of the outgroup?
Don't you think treason or betrayal are big sins?
No, obviously not. Sins don't exist. But treason and betrayal can be a dick move. They can. Not always, of course. If you commit treason against a heavily oppressive regime or betray a mad murderous dictator, that's probably a damn good idea. Very honorable, very helpful to the people around you.
Disbelieving in God is betraying God.
Good. God sounds like the most terrible kind of monster that could possibly hold any amount of power, and he doesn't deserve any loyalty from anyone. Based on what your religion says about him, I think he's the enemy of the entire human species. In fact, if he existed, I'd propose that we do everything we can to kill him. Wait a second, how is not thinking someone exists the same as betraying them? Well, that kind of makes people with Alzheimer's like the worst traitors in the universe, doesn't it?
If I bring you a glass of water, you thank me, right?
Depends. Did you just get done splashing gasoline on 1 billion people and lighting them on fire? In that case, I might tell you to shove your water up your ass.
Yes, shove the water into your anus. It will make my nighttime intercession more hygienic.
Not now!
If you didn't thank me, it would be very ungrateful and disrespectful.
Maybe, but disrespect is not the same thing as betrayal. And I really hope, dude, that when you visit someone else's house and you bring them a glass of water when you get one, and they don't notice that you did it because, you know, they're reading a book or something, and so they don't say thank you, you don't react by locking them in their house and burning it down. Or do you?
What if I keep giving you water, then food, then money, and you just take it and don't show any gratitude?
No. Let's fix this analogy. What if you sneak into my house in the middle of the night every night, and you put a glass of water beside my bed, and food in my fridge, and money in my wallet, and you sneak out again as quietly as you can, making absolutely sure that I don't notice you. And I'm getting increasingly confused because I'm like, how does this keep happening? And then, of course, I don't call you to say thanks because I don't even know you're doing it. What do you do in that situation, Feddy? Next time you see me on the street, are you gonna pour boiling water all over me and then beat me with a mace for my horrible betrayal?
And what if I give you water and you turn towards someone else and say thank you to him instead of me? Then I give you something to eat. And again, you look towards him and thank him instead of thanking me.
So then eventually, after I keep waking up to all this fresh food and stuff in my house every day, I get really confused and I install security cameras all over my house to try to figure out what the hell is going on. And to make absolutely sure I can't see that you're there, you start doctoring the footage before you leave so it never shows you inside my house, and instead the food just seems to appear on the counters. And so I start trying to explain these crazy happenings, and I think, well, nobody's coming into my house. Maybe it's a ghost? I mean, I don't know. It's gotta be something. And so before I go to bed, I say, thank you, Mr. Ghost, for feeding me again today. That was real nice of you. Please don't kill me in my sleep or anything. And meanwhile, you've planted a bug in my bedroom and you're listening in, absolutely boiling with rage, getting ready to beat the ever-loving shit out of me for my unforgivable treason against you.
That's what disbelievers in God do. He gives them water, food, money, health, wealth, family, you name it.
Feddy, I'm not going to thank someone who I don't think even exists. If he wants me to thank him, he's more than welcome to come along and just casually mention, hey, by the way, did you like the food that I put in your house? And I'll be like, oh damn, that was you, thanks dude. I wish you'd said something earlier, I might have got you a thank you card or something. But hey, listen, I heard through the grapevine that you're planning on tossing me into your basement and setting me on fire, but do you want to get drunk and play video games instead? That'll be so much more fun and we'll be best friends, yo. And he'll be like, oh, okay, buddy. But until he clarifies that for me so I actually believe he exists, he can just keep pathetically, desperately hoping for my approval and never getting it, just like everyone else I've never met. By the way, I mean, how much of a lonely loser is this God guy that he's so desperate for someone to say something nice to him that he considers it a betrayal when people who've never even met him don't thank him for stuff? What a fucking drama queen.
I've been forced to endure an existence of loneliness, rejection, and unfulfilled desires. I will punish all of you for it. You will finally see that I am, in truth, the superior one. All I've ever wanted was to love you and to be loved by you. I'll be a god, exacting my retribution on all those who deserve it. And you do deserve it, just for the crime of living a better life than me.
If they worship other gods besides the one true God, they turn to them in gratitude rather than being thankful to the one who has given them the sustenance.
Yeah, dude, I'm sure that's totally the goal of all non-Muslim theists. Oh, Allah gave us all this sustenance? Well, we really should become Muslims then, I guess, but instead, I'm just gonna make up some other god and thank that instead, just to troll him. Yeah, that's not how religion works.
Or if, on the other hand, they are people of no faith, they then thank themselves, claiming that they acquired these things because of their talents, personal qualities, or hard work alone.
Hard work. Ugh, am I right? Don't worry, Feddy, I can see that you put absolutely none of that into this video. It's pretty obvious that you let God take the wheel for the most part on this one, so I'm sure God's still cool with you.
But why do atheists so often question believers as to whether they believe that they will go to hell?
Oh, that's easy. It's because it tells us if we're dealing with a person who cares about other people and wants them to be free to sincerely hold different opinions, or if we're dealing with a person who hates everyone who disagrees with them so much that they start drooling when they imagine the screams while those people's skin fries off. And then based on the response, we can judge if we're going to have a productive, friendly conversation with a compassionate human being, or an incredibly nasty conversation with a psychopathic, hateful monster. You know, you gotta dip your toe in, test the waters.
It can only be for one of two reasons.
Oh yeah, right, two reasons. The second reason is that we might think you don't realize just how anti-human your beliefs really are, and so we'll try to make you confront the implications of your beliefs so you can start to realize how disgusting your attitude has been and start to change it.
The first is that he does so in order to fluster a believer.
Well, yeah, that's not too far off what I just said.
Not out of genuine fear of hell, nor of hope of entering heaven, because he does not even believe in either of them.
Ugh, fucking atheists not believing us. I hope they all get barbecued, and not to a delicious medium rare either. No, to a disgusting crispy black well done, so that every normal person will find their taste repulsive.
I'll stuff them like this. Get in there.
But you're right, Feddy. As I said, it's not a question asked out of fear at all. Except maybe a fear of a world filled with people who jizz their pants when they think of someone's eyes melting out of their sockets. No, it's really a question asked as a rhetorical device to make someone start questioning if what they believe really is as wonderful as they think it is. Why should it be based on fear? What good would that possibly do? I gotta be honest, you kind of just sound upset that you're not able to terrorize us with fantastical threats.
Alternatively, he may do so because he is not completely convinced of his own atheism and is trying to find himself a way out, just in case there does turn out to be a God, a day of judgment, followed by a reward and a punishment.
Okay, look, Feddy, there's a world of difference between, do you think I'm going to hell? And, do you think I'm going to hell? Let's not mix them up. Yeah, the first one's clearly questioning. Most likely they're an ex-believer who still has the nightmares from the emotional abuse that was inflicted on them when they were a child when their parents drilled this concept of hell into their brains. The second one is sounding you out to see if he's dealing with a torture-loving bigot. All you need to do in the latter case is tell the truth. And if you're a good person who believes in hell, that truth is going to be, yes, and I hate God for making it that way.
And let me tell you why an atheist thinks in such a way. What makes an atheist doubt his atheism?
Oh wow, are we talking about whether God exists now? Sweet, I didn't expect that in this video. Sure, I can go for some dessert.
From a philosophical point of view, the existence of God is subject to three possibilities. His existence may be an undeniable fact, such as Muslims, Jews, Christians believe, for example.
Oh wow, you believe that? Well, I'm glad most Muslims, Jews, and Christians aren't that retarded. I'm denying it right now, Feddy. I deny the existence of God. There, proven. It's clearly not an undeniable fact. And you've said yourself that disbelievers actually don't believe. So you're not going to be able to wriggle out of that by turning around and saying that we're faking it. Well, unless you want to contradict yourself. Which, now that I say it, that's probably not a big issue for you, is it?
His existence may be questionable, such as agnostics believe.
I question God's existence and therefore his existence is questionable. Does God exist? There, proven. So whoever says that is right, but that's not what agnosticism is, by the way. You can even be completely certain of the existence of God and still not be dumb enough to say it's unquestionable. By the way, you should fire your graphics guy. As you're laying out these categories of undeniable fact and questionable, he's putting exists and possible on the screen, which relate to totally different questions.
Or otherwise, his existence may be an absolute impossibility, such as atheists believe.
Well, at least your graphics guy matched up with you on that one, but that doesn't make it more true. That's no definition of atheism I've ever heard. Some people disagree on the definition, but even the people who disagree are going to say it's either a person who denies the existence of God, a person who says God doesn't exist, a person who just doesn't believe in any gods. Something like that. It's a belief that something doesn't exist, or a non-belief that it does. Not a belief that it's an absolute impossibility. I'm a hard atheist. I not only don't believe in any gods, which would qualify me as an atheist, but I also believe there are no gods. And yet, I don't believe that the existence of God is an absolute impossibility because I don't deal in absolutes. And I'm not here to judge whether God is possible or not. I'm here to judge whether it's probable. I work very hard to avoid believing anything with absolute certainty because then I'd be stuck stubbornly believing something untrue like you are, instead of having the flexibility to change my mind whenever I get new information. And there are a lot of atheists like me. I mean, I guess you might be talking about people who make the argument that certain combinations of characteristics claimed to belong to God are logically inconsistent and impossible. Maybe. So, like, God by certain interpretations is impossible. There are some of those people out there, but not every atheist makes that argument, and that argument doesn't apply to every god. As a matter of fact, it's only a specific subset of interpretations of specific gods. So that's not what makes them an atheist. But you're just talking about it like that's what you think an atheist is. Someone who thinks God is an absolute impossibility. That's just silly.
If you ask an atheist to put forth an argument to support his beliefs that the existence of God is an absolute impossibility, he will never be able to do so.
Yeah, in fact, I'd bet that almost every time he won't even try. Because even while you're telling him he believes that, he's telling you, dude, you're full of shit. How about you actually listen to what I'm saying to you when I tell you what I think, instead of shoving your own stupid words in my mouth and refusing to listen any further?
The closest he can get to supporting his claim is that the existence of God is a possibility. He may exist or he may not exist.
Right, it makes more sense to talk in terms of possibilities and probabilities than it does to talk in terms of absolutes. Of course, you talk in absolutes, but that's because you're not worried about making sense. And we're not talking about whether God is impossible. We're talking about whether he's likely to exist. And of course, the two possibilities, that he may exist or may not exist, are not equal. We can use our observations and predictions about the universe to assign probabilities to them. And to me, the universe looks nothing like I would expect it to look with a god like yours, and the needle's way over on the may not exist side. But of course, if you provide new evidence, you might change that. I'm open to it, but I believe it about as much as I believe any other supernatural boogie-woogie. Once you start getting me worried about a dragon invasion from outer space, maybe then I'll start thinking about the God thing.
So a person who outright denies the existence of God, saying that it is an impossibility, actually believes in something that they have no arguments to back up. Accordingly, he is being arrogantly obstinate.
In the case of someone who insists that it's outright impossible for any god to exist, I might be inclined to agree with you, maybe. But then again, I haven't met any of those people, so I'm unfamiliar with the arguments for that, and who knows? They might have some very convincing ones. I'll have to withhold judgment until I hear them. But to be honest, I don't care very much, because the possibility or impossibility of a god is fairly irrelevant to me. Whether I think it's possible or not, I still don't believe it exists. I'm gonna need someone like you to start providing some quality arguments in favor of his existence if I'm gonna believe it. And the poorly thought out word vomit and threats that you're putting out so far aren't gonna do it.
That is why when he questions whether or not he will go to hell, deep down he is scared, because he knows that there is a 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000 chance that there is indeed a heaven and a hell.
Oh, it's way worse than that. Even if I just assign equal probability to every single religion on the planet, the odds are more in my favor than you just said. And of course that assumes that one of those religions actually knows what the fuck it's talking about, which, when you're presented with billions of idiots who are spouting all kinds of different shit with exactly the same amount of good evidence, which is none, then I see no reason to assume that any one arbitrary line of bullshit from any one arbitrary group of them isn't bullshit. As a matter of fact, I'd be more likely to believe that God made the world to see who could figure out that there's no evidence for his existence, and then he takes those people to heaven and sends the rest to hell. Because shit, at least I know where that bullshit came from.
It was me.
Look, Feddy, I know your parents locked your mind in a tiny box and threw away the key, so you have a little bit of trouble imagining that other people might have had a slightly different experience and so have slightly different ideas. But I'm a lifelong atheist. I was not the victim of the indoctrination that you were. I'm even less scared that I might go to hell than I am that a T-Rex might attack my house. At least it's clearly demonstrated that T-Rexes existed at some point along the timeline. I get this shit from every side every day, man. Every religion on the fucking planet thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. Every religious person seems to think their delusional fantasies are the obviously true ones. And I just look at all of you and see you for what you are. You come in slightly different varieties, but fundamentally you're all the same. Morons. When you stand there all straight-faced and serious as a grown-ass man, and you tell me Magic Man's gonna punish me for being a naughty face, I laugh so hard inside that it almost causes internal bleeding.
Let's watch a short video of Ben Stein.
Oh hey, I watched that movie. I loved it. Sorta in a masochistic way. My wife hated me for making her watch it, but I love that stuff. It was great, hilariously dishonest. I'm sure that it was impressive for people who don't know what video editing is, but hey, go ahead, Fed.
Interviewing the most notorious atheist.
No, he never interviewed me, unfortunately.
Richard Dawkins.
Oh, hey, Feddy, 2007 called. They want you to read Christopher Hitchens.
Wherein he questions Dr. Dawkins on the probability of the existence of God from his point of view.
Probability of God, okay. Let's get into that discussion of the probability of God's existence.
You believe it's liberating to tell people that there is no God?
I think a lot of people, when they give up God, feel a great sense of release and freedom.
Why do you think that? I mean, what's your dad? What's your scientist? What's your dad?
I think, well, I've had a lot of letters saying that. And
there are 8 billion people in the world, Dr. Dawkins. How many letters have you had?
No, I haven't done that. That's quite true.
That had nothing to do with God's existence, or the probability of it. That was about how people feel when they cease to believe in it. Why did you even include that?
Professor Dawkins seemed so convinced that God doesn't exist that I wondered if he would be willing to put a number on it.
Well, it's hard to put a figure on it, but I mean, I put it as something like, 99% against or something.
Well, how do you know it's 99%?
I don't.
Say not 97.
No,
because you asked for a number even though there's no defined scale of what those numbers mean, Ben. He just threw out some number that sounds high because in his opinion of the evidence, the probability of God's existence is low. Maybe if you asked a smarter question, you'd get a better answer, but of course that wasn't the point of the movie now, was it?
You asked me to put a figure on it, and I'm not comfortable putting a figure on it. I just think it's very unlikely.
What? But you couldn't put a number on it?
No, of course not.
Yeah, what he said, because it's a meaningless exercise in the first place. Hey, how unlikely would you say it is that there's a pot of gold at the end of that double rainbow? Put a number on it. I don't know, like 99% against? It's really unlikely. Oh, so you think there's a pot of gold at the end of every 100th rainbow, huh? That's cool. I'll go gold hunting next time.
So it could be 49%.
Ben, when the guy says he thinks it's unlikely, do you seriously think what he means is it's slightly more probable than flipping heads on a fair coin? Well, of course you don't. There's a reason I never wanted to review this piece of shit. Feddy's kind of dishonesty gets my blood pressure up, but this makes my vessels pop. It's probably because he's doing it to someone's face with full knowledge that he's gonna twist everything as far as he can to smear him. And it doesn't help that I have no idea why Dawkins would ever agree to an interview with these people. What did he think was gonna happen?
Well, it would be, I think it's unlikely.
Oh, listen to that emphasis. Sounds like Richard was saying, do you seriously not know what the prefix un means?
And it's quite far from 50%.
How do you know?
I don't know. I mean, I put an argument in the book.
Cut! Make sure he doesn't have a chance to tell us his argument! Phew, that was a close one. Dishonest as fuck. Hey, by the way, do you people even know the difference between something you think and something you know? Here's an example. If you think it's likely that there's at least one new species left to find in the Amazon rainforest, and you'll put a high number on it when someone pressures you for long enough, that doesn't mean you know that thing is there. Get it? No, of course not. Why do I even bother?
God understands the mindset of such people and knows that deep down they do feel, at least to some degree, there is a God.
Hey Feddy, you want to know something cool? The phrase, "it's not totally impossible," does not mean the same thing as, "I believe it's true a little bit." Just a bit of an English lesson for you. Oh, and would you look at that, eh? Can I predict the arguments of the believers, or can I? I had this weird feeling you were going to turn around at some point and accuse me of being a secret believer, and I mentioned it earlier. And would you look at that? And no, I didn't know it was coming. Once you've heard this shit as often as I have, it's just that damn predictable. And yeah, like I said earlier, if you say this, you've contradicted yourself, so you just contradicted yourself. Now look, I'm perfectly aware you're not going to believe anything I tell you about what I believe. You're a lost cause. You're totally closed to anything that contradicts your narrative. But the fact is, regardless of what you think about it, that I have no belief in your God or any other God, and I never did. In fact, the entire concept is so alien to me that every day I find myself utterly confused about how anyone could possibly buy into any of this. I know you're unwilling to accept that not everyone believes what you believe, but even though your belief in what you believe completely confuses me, I'm not gonna pay you that same disrespect. I believe you believe this silly dark shit you say you believe, all the way down. I believe it's imprinted itself so strongly on your brain that it's unlikely ever to wash out again. But even if it eventually does, you still deeply believe it right now. Unlike you, I'm perfectly aware that people genuinely have different opinions on matters of fact. And while I have no way to demonstrate to you that my opinions really are what I say they are, other than just telling you, when it comes to other atheists, I don't have to convince them. They already know that they don't believe. And so you've guaranteed that we now all know that you're either a liar or a complete idiot. You're not going to win any of us over with this shit. So you can enjoy preaching to your choir, and I'll enjoy preaching to mine, but I have the advantage because at least I recognize that not everyone in the world is singing in my choir.
But they are merely being stubborn and arrogant.
I know you are, but what am I? Nya, 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 nya. So, what is it you're proposing? That all we atheists have a nagging feeling in the pits of our stomachs that we can't identify and so we can't act on? Probably because God put his blindfolds and earmuffs and shit on us like we discussed before, and so which we thus can't justly be punished for? Or do you think that we believe in God and hell, and we understand that we believe in them, but then we just go, hey, fuck you, God! I wanna go to hell because I'm so fucking edgy! I want infinite torture just to be quirky! Is that what you think? Seriously? You really have not thought this through very carefully, have you?
The Quran says, no, indeed the unbelievers promise each other only delusions.
That says idolaters, not unbelievers. Those are different things, pal. We're talking about atheists right now, remember? Idolaters is talking about, like, polytheists and shit. People who worship idols. Seriously, Feddy, have you even cracked the fucking Quran open? Have you even got to page 1? Your graphics guy knows it better than you do. While he edits it, he's probably screaming, no! What the hell are you talking about, dude?
Staunch atheists who are proactive in convincing others of atheism are often extremely arrogant, as if they have all the answers to every matter in the universe.
Oh, ain't that rich coming from Feddy, who's been arrogantly spouting off all these answers throughout this whole video, to the point that he even claims he knows the deepest, most secret thoughts and motivations of millions of people, and who has an entire video series proclaiming answers to what he thinks are the biggest matters in the universe, all the way up to declaring that he understands why the universe exists at all. You live in a glass house, Fidel. Be careful with those rocks. Instead of bitching about how arrogant it is for people who disagree with you to speak their insolent fucking minds, why don't you just stop sucking at making a point, so that even if you and someone else are both speaking your mind openly, your ideas are the ones that are backed up by better reasoning, and you win your opponent over. Oh, but I can see that's a pretty tall order for you, so maybe I expect too much.
But in reality, they behave in such a manner to cover up their own doubts and inability to put forth an intelligent, logical argument to validate atheism.
Hey, remember when I said that I believe that you deeply believe everything you say you believe? Well, that projection just now was so strong you've convinced me I was wrong. See? You are capable of convincing your opponents of things.
So it is basically a psychological problem and not a matter of inability to understand.
Aw, that's sweet, Feddy. You don't think I'm retarded. You just think I'm crazy. Right back at you, buddy. Actually, I feel a little bad. I can't lie like that. I think you're both. But, it's okay, because sometimes you're just a malicious liar. That balances out, right?
This may either be a result of religion being presented to people in the wrong way.
Religion presented in the wrong way. What way would that be? Would it be like telling people that they deserve lots of chocolate and hugs and puppy dogs? Because as we've learned from you, the right way is to tell people they deserve to be tortured forever and then call them arrogant when they tell you to get fucked.
Or perhaps done out of a desire to escape from the regulations and the do's and don'ts imposed by religion.
God damn, Fidel, you really don't pay attention, do you? Do you honestly think if someone believed that the do's and don'ts were actually coming from a true religion with a God that actually exists and will toss them into hell if they don't obey, we would be dumb enough to think we can fool God by pretending that we don't believe in him? Or do you think that if that was true, we would actually want to be ignorant of it? We would actually want to be surprised by something like that? No, you imbecile. If that's how things really work, I want to know. Seriously, the last thing I want is that kind of curveball coming at me at the end. If I know in advance, then at least I can do whatever I need to do to avoid the wrath of that evil God. Once again, you have everything all ass backwards. I don't disbelieve because I want to avoid following the rules of your religion. I don't follow the rules of your religion because I disbelieve.
It could also be superiority complex, where some people have the need to believe that they, or mankind, has no superior and are self-sufficient.
Or maybe, and I know it's really unlikely and really hard to wrap your head around, but maybe it's actually a sincere belief, and we're not picking and choosing what we believe based on what we wish were true, like infants. On the other hand, you guys with your whole heaven thing, I said I'd take you at your word.
Or it may merely be a desire to attract attention.
Or maybe what people tell you they believe or don't believe is actually what they believe or don't believe. Maybe we're not all edgy teens looking to totally super trigger our mummies and daddies. Maybe we've actually spent the time considering the evidence and come to a serious conclusion. maybe, even if Feddy is incapable of imagining someone else not thinking just like he does, people actually think differently nonetheless. Or, you know, maybe we just really like hot climates. Speaking of which, it is roasting in here. I'm still trying to find a way out of here, by the way. I haven't quite figured that out yet.
In a multicultural, multi-faith society, people must be able to live together in harmony without harboring animosity towards each other over religious matters.
Okay, so when are you going to stop harboring animosity towards me and believing that I deserve to burn forever over a difference in religious opinion? When are you going to renounce your torturer god? I've never once thought anything nearly that bad about anyone else. All I want is the ability to freely criticize your claims and your arguments, and other than that, I'm cool. But it would be really nice if you just stop wishing eternal torture upon me and my entire family. You know, it kind of throws a wrench into the multi-faith gears. So how about it? Deal?
However, we should be able to have academic discussions and debates about matters of religion and belief in a friendly atmosphere.
A friendly atmosphere? Feddy, you opened your video with everyone who disagrees with me is a bad person who deserves eternal torture. You didn't want a friendly atmosphere. You took every goddamn step you could to make damn sure we couldn't have that. No, what you wanted was an atmosphere where everyone else is friendly to you while you say the most hideous things you can think of to them. Fuck your friendly atmosphere. I'm not your friend. I'm not going to treat you like one. If you want to be treated nice, treat other people nice. Earn it.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever, asshole. Ugh, video's getting heavy again. Nemamaya, get over here.
Logicked, your birth sky is... Oh, a kitty. Kitty, your anus is in the ascending phase, and I will intercede in your little kitty bed tonight. Daddy, does the bad man want to pound me?
Oh hey, pound me, kitty! Where'd you go? I thought you ran away. Wow, why are all these people from my channel's past popping up in this video? Who's next, Kent Hovind?
Logicked. Logicked. What a coward. Won't even show his face.
Fuck you, Kent! Fuck you! You know what? I'm gonna take my mask off. I don't know why you're so into looking at dudes, but here you go! There! Ha!
Oh, come on. They've been so good to you. Take that one off too.
Oh, alright.